especially the last part of this definition. Hello, everybody.
Little beatboxing.
Little.
Yeah, you know, a little dry mouth. It's okay.
Little dry mouth.
Hello? Is this TikTok?
TikTok. Little
You
TikTok.
Kids with all your new technology. I don't even know where I am right
Mark,
now.
what
Am I on
radio?
assimilation?
What radio station is your podcast on?
94.7.
Oh, how do you know? He's tuned in to the same frequency.
Remember when that was Smooth Jazz,
I didn't know we were
KSSJ?
on.
I didn't
You
grow up
remember?
around here.
Oh,
No.
okay. Okay. That's fair.
That used to be the Smooth Jazz channel.
Used to be Smooth Jazz. Now it's like hippity hop, whatever. I don't know.
Hmm.
Hippity hop. It was weird when like the old school station started playing music that like I didn't think was old school.
And then you realize.
Then
oh,
I
shit.
realized I'm old.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's so loud.
My wife will totally tell you that I say that a lot,
It's so
often, every day. I say like, "Fuck, that's too loud." I get so angry.
You know what I don't like? I don't like when shit's real bright. Like
okay, so
I'm
that's-
always shutting lights off in the house and trying to dim shit down. Like everything's like, I have lights at my house that are pretty goddamn bright, and I'm always like turning them off or turning them down. Like we don't need like 17 lights.
That's
on.
a dad thing.
Yeah.
So I do it because it's just like I used to joke with Jasmine. She'd leave all the lights on. She'd be like, "Hey, like that's a Christmas present. Like you're wasting energy. Energy costs money." But like for you though, it's just like it's bright. But I think it is just a dad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, it's so interesting, like seeing both of you guys age.
Because you don't.
Not totally am. Saying late 20s is mad weird, but I see you sometimes with your big text on your phone.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen you one day. I saw you like looking at your phone, and I just saw you going like this. I'm like, Mark, what the fuck?
Zooming in, just going like this forever. We're going.
I'm still fighting the text thing. Like that's I don't want to let go. Like I'll just switch glasses because I have my like regular like everyday like walking around glasses, and I have my like computer glasses.
Yeah.
Those glasses are fucking dope for looking at shit on the phone, but then you can't see anything else.
But straight up, hey, since we're talking about aging, as you do get older, we should mention like you want to know what's going on in your body. Like if you're a young cat, get your blood work done. We talked about this, but as you get older, peeps, you got to make sure that nothing is developing. You don't have any problems with potentially your cholesterol or just any of these things that could be going on, even if you look healthy. And that's why we got Merrick.
Hell yeah! I got my blood taken the other day, and we'll see what it shows. We'll see what's in there. I think there's probably some peanut butter cup in there.
Oh,
There's probably there's probably some Piedmontese rolled up in there. You know? We'll see.
Montes.
Mhm.
I can't even say that right.
That's probably in my blood work. But yeah, I'm getting my blood work done routinely. Just kind of keep things in check. Trying to just optimize my hormones. And with Merrick Health, you don't have to worry about trying to interpret that information on your own. And you also don't have to worry about like what test to get because we have it all set up for you already. We do the math for you. And I know that a lot of times in the past, I would tell people get their blood work done. And they're like, my doctor just said I need my lipid profile. And it's like, oh man, it'd be great if you knew more information because there's so much more to, burning body fat, holding on to muscle, and just seeing how you're doing every day. And the people at Merrick Health, they're going to be able to like detect everything. Like a lot of shit is in your, not shit, a lot of stuff is in your blood that can be an inkling into something else. Perhaps maybe you're not sleeping well. Like they're going to be able to see that, in your red blood cell count and various other things.
Yep, and it's all through telemedicine. So the once you get your what's it called, your lab slip or your lab requisition, you just go to a LabCorp, I believe. Yeah, you go to LabCorp. They already know who you are by the time you walk in. They just draw your blood, and then after that, everything is all through a computer. You're one-on-one with the doctor. You get your written report. You get to keep that, and that's something that you get to have forever. So that way, later on down the road, you can look back at how you felt and where everything was. To jump in on this deal, again, this is the Power Project panel. This is something that we put together ourselves along with the help of Merrick Health. You got to go to merrickhealth.com health.com/power project. Merrick is spelled MAREK, health.com/power project. You'll see the Power Project panel there. For everybody else, it's $500, but when you guys check out, use promo code Power Project, and it'll take the price down to $399. Again, that's at merrickhealth.com/power project.
This is something that you're not going to be getting done like every 2-3 weeks.
Correct.
You know, most likely you might get it done like you'll get it done once, and if there's things to correct, then you would do a follow-up maybe another 3 months down the road. So it sounds like a pricey thing to invest in, but it's been really helpful for me, and I know that you guys will find it to be really helpful for you. So what is the deal? Why do we have body dysmorphia? What happened? What's wrong with us?
What is wrong? Let me read this off of the definition of body dysmorphic disorder, also called BDD, a mental illness involving.
I'm gonna need a professional voice in Nsima.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said
sorry.
BBD, not BB.
Thank you.
That's good for your words, Rick.
You gotta take this shit serious.
A mental illness involving obsessive focus on a perceived flaw in appearance. The flaw may be minor or imagined, but the person may spend hours a day trying to fix it. The person may try many cosmetic procedures or exercise to excess.
Oh my God.
Sounds like us.
Excess. Is that
I was off the
overtraining?
hook until the end. Damn.
Got us. Like we
what
were
we-
good for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, shit, maybe we don't have it.
Exercise to excess.
What are we supposed to do?
Overtraining. I don't know.
Oh, man, I guess, sometimes some of our weaknesses actually end up, turning into be some of the greatest attributes that we end up having because they end up doing a lot for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes drawing, I don't think there's any problem with drawing attention, especially within yourself. Doing it onto somebody else isn't a great idea, but drawing attention within yourself about the problems that you have and then figuring out how to address them, I think is actually very healthy.
Yeah.
But I guess you can go maybe dive down that rabbit hole way too far, huh?
Mm-hmm. You definitely can. Like, all jokes aside, guys, like we don't want to necessarily like make light of the idea of body dysmorphia, because body dysmorphia, as the definition says, can really cause people to go down a lot of dark rabbit holes. A lot of people end up getting really crazy cosmetic surgery, men and women, because they're like, oh, my butt isn't big enough, or I don't have high enough cheekbones, or this or that. They always find different flaws to fix. And that's why you see people that they damage themselves so much because of that. But what kind of spurred this idea and had me think about this was a question I got from somebody the other day. This guy asked, will you ever be satisfied with your physique, or are you satisfied with your physique? And I took a second and I was like, I'm happy with the way I look. But personally, when it comes to the way my mind looks at my body and my progress, I'm always looking for something to improve. And it's not something where I'm like, it mentally drains me because my shoulders aren't capped enough, for my calf or something. It's something that somebody could nitpick at. It doesn't mentally make me sad or angry, but if I see something that I could improve a little bit, I'm always looking for something I could improve. I look to improve it. And a lot of people, there's been a lot of talk that I see in YouTube, fitness, etc., where people are like, oh yeah, bodybuilders have body dysmorphia, etc., right? And I think about it, I'm just like, technically, it is, but at the same time, I don't necessarily see a problem when you're trying to progress your body in a healthy way and you're just always looking for a little bit of progression here and there. It's just, how far are you going to take the things you do? If it gets unhealthy or unsafe, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah. What about, maybe competing in something like bodybuilding? And, some people say, congratulations, you did well today, it's your first time competing or something. And one of the judges, you ask a judge, because this is what you're supposed to do, especially if you want to make progress in bodybuilding. Talk to a judge or talk to some other coaches that are there and say, hey, I want to be in the sport for a while. I want to continue to progress. What do you think I should work on? And they might say, well, you got to ready to bring up your shoulders. And it's very common in bodybuilding just to like say that flat out. Your stomach could have came in a lot tighter. Like, you say this kind of stuff to somebody at the gym, even who's clearly people are at the gym to have better aesthetics. But if you, if you did that like unsolicited and just went up to somebody and said, hey, you need to bring in your stomach a little bit more, they would be probably like mortified. They'd probably be fairly upset, Mm-hmm. And so I think in bodybuilding, it's very commonplace to really nitpick the body. But imagine being a competitor and somebody says, hey, you really need to bring up your shoulders and your hamstrings. Imagine the attitude that you have going into your training now. You're like, all right, well, I'm going to work on my, I don't want to ever hear that shit again. I'm going to work on my shoulders and work on my hamstrings, but I don't want them to be able to detect anything next time I go. I would love it for them to say, well, you won the overall and like you kind of kicked everyone's ass. So, maybe they still have a little advice on a couple things you can progress on, because we can always make progress, but I don't see an issue with that.
I don't either, but this brings in another idea in terms of the topic. And it's when you start lifting, sometimes you may have inspirations or physique inspirations, or people are like, oh, that Mark Bell, that guy looks pretty dope. I want to have shoulders like his, or The Rock, I want to have whatever, a chest like his, whatever. You may have inspirations.
Rock's got triceps.
That man has triceps and a chest, and he's broad, and he's tall, and he's handsome.
Wow, he's dark too.
Yeah, natural tan. Actually, you're the one who needed worried about that. I'm not worried about the tan part of things, but yeah.
God, he looks good.
He looks really good.
Should we just do the show about him?
We could just talk. Have you seen his most recent picture about how he's getting ready for Black Adam?
Yeah.
Those abs came in, man.
He looks great.
He looks amazing. Andrew, you don't want to chime in on this Rock love that we have going on with Dwayne?
I'm setting stuff up over here, but I can. I know the picture you're talking about. Let me pull it up.
That man be jacked. He's dialed in. I'm impressed.
But it is problematic when we're trying to chase after what somebody else has done.
Exactly.
And what somebody else is doing. I do think that a lot of times when it comes to, oh, there we go.
Fucking.
Woo, look at that vein going through the bicep to the shoulder.
Dude,
look at that
through
chest
the
vein.
pec? Yeah. God.
That's an
Ooh-wee.
interesting thing about The Rock is hey now. he's a biggin, man. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's huge.
And massive.
Yeah, he's fucking huge. And, so he's done a great job in all the different movies he's been in, coming in looking like a house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But in this case, he's gotten, it's a superhero movie, right?
Yeah.
So he's got to shred up. Oh, there's another good shot of the stomach coming in.
Man, this dude, he really took it to another level. He really took it to another level with this one. His physique's never been this lean for anything.
But, chasing after other people can be dangerous. I do think that a lot of times that's where we kind of start. We have like some inspiration.
Yeah.
We're like, it gets you interested. It piques your interest towards something. And a lot of times when you start, you start a YouTube channel, you start playing music, you start to like copy. You're like, I'm going to copy that band, or I'm going to copy the way that guy plays the piano. And you literally just copy it at first. And then eventually it starts to kind of morph. Maybe you did that a little bit with jujitsu or something like that, right? Where it's like you just impersonate a little bit. And then after a period of time, you can start to kind of go off and do it on your own.
Yeah.
But I think if you're obsessing about how you're not like someone else enough, I think that's where you can get yourself in a lot of trouble.
It could be very damaging because your physique only has the potential that your physique has. So maybe you're someone who's able to have a really good chest, but maybe your shoulders just are not, no matter how many years you train, they're not just looking like somebody else. Well, build the best thing that you can for yourself. And that, again, when it comes to the satisfied aspect of things, I don't think I'll ever be satisfied per se, but that doesn't necessarily put me, I don't feel distressed. It doesn't bother me. I don't think about this all day long. And I think that's the part of the reason why I don't think about it all the time, is because I'm always looking for other things I can progress at, not just in the way my body looks, but in the ability that my body has. So it's like Ben Patrick comes in, showed us all this knees over toes work. I've had knee problems for years. I'm like, what can my knees do now? And that benefits the way my body looks too. But I also have this idea of like, how much stronger can my hamstrings get? How can this adductor strain I'm going through, how strong can I make my adductors so this doesn't happen again? I'm always looking for different progressions that my body can make, along with here and there what my body looks like.
it's exciting, right? Like it's exciting to know that you can continue to get so much better at stuff. And, you know, I don't think there's ever a time where you're like, you know, I want to have less money in the bank, or I want, you know, it'd be great if I was 5%, if my body fat was increased by 5% rather than decreased by 5%. I think in most cases, you know, people are going to want to continue to make progress. I think sometimes when people are thinking about like success or being better, maybe sometimes they're a little gun shy on how to go about doing it. Maybe they have some concern or anxiety over, you know, all the things involved in being better. But really all that's involved in being a success is just progress. And we all kind of know from the inside out that we can improve ourselves a bit. And so I think it's just kind of human nature to like want to get a little bit better. It might be human nature also to be a little bit jealous of somebody and go, I'd love to have that. But that's not a great mindset, because you can't have it. You can't have what you don't deserve. You have to have earned it in some way. And somebody else's thing that they may have been gifted, along with many other factors, but like they may have literally been gifted just being a little bit further along in that particular subject or that particular thing. And for you to try to focus in on that, it's not in your best interest. It might take you, you know, X amount of time longer for you to get better at something than somebody else.
Like I had mentioned off air, but I had watched a Dom Massetti video a long time ago when I first started getting into everything. So a lot of CT Fletcher, a lot of Elliot Hulse, and then all of a sudden this started popping up in my YouTube feed. But he had said something, and it was almost like I was like cool with it at the time, but he said, you know, okay, you're into lifting now, you're into bodybuilding. Welcome to day one of never being satisfied with the way you look. And it was a video about like chasing the pump. Like you're always going to chase the pump because you know, that's when you look your best, but then all of a sudden you lose the pump and it's gone. But dude, yeah, I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but what I was going to ask you though, oh, there it is. How can you manage, your like, I guess your expectations, and you had mentioned being jealous, and like, how can you tell somebody like it is going to take time, you know, like it's patience obviously, but like, how do you manage expectations when you want to look like somebody?
Because everything, bro, takes time. That's the thing. It's like when we look at our bodies, or when a lot of people think of the progression of the body, they want it to be now. They want to be strong now. They want to be big now. They want to be lean now.
And when you say we, we're talking about ourselves.
Ourselves too. Like ourselves too. But the thing is like this is something that you're going to be doing literally forever, right? And you can't expect that just a few years of lifting, you're going to look like I don't even like the idea of looking like a certain person, but looking like the best version of yourself. The best version of yourself, honestly, let's just be real. When I think about the best version of myself, I'm never going to reach it. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I'm never going to reach it. Because when I reach the thing that I think is my ideal, I'm still going for another ideal. I'm never going to get there. A lot of people, like, if they look at maybe what I've been able to progress in terms of my body, this is not the best version of my body. Not even close. I'm still 30, 40, 50, 60 years away from that. It's a continuous endeavor, right? For anything, pretty much. I know, okay, now we're getting a little crazy because I'm going to be 88 years old. So I'm not going to look like I do now when I'm 88. But at the same time, when I'm 88, I'm going to be looking on something that I can improve on in terms of what I'm able to do with what I have at the moment.
Even if you are in shape to be on stage for a bodybuilding show and you're like 4% body fat or something wild and you're heavier than you've ever been, still not necessarily the best version of your body, because what about when you deadlifted 755? It's like when you're on stage doing that one thing, now you're pulled away from something else. You could, being Nsima and being jacked and looking great, you could go on Instagram and see Kaylor Woolham like he did the other day, pull 843 again.
Jesus Christ, Kaylor. Savage,
great comeback story. We'll have to have him on the show. But you might see that and be like, fuck, man. You know, and you might get jealous of that. And someone would say, how could you be jealous of what someone can do with their body when your fucking body looks like that?
And that brings me to this idea of like body dysmorphia. Let's think about it like here in terms of fitness. I do think that the fitness industry, people who don't pay attention to things in the fitness industry, like people in the fitness industry, we have really like crazy ideas of what the body can look like or what the body is supposed to look like compared to the rest of the population. But when it comes to the idea of body dysmorphia, I think it's weird because when someone looks at a mass, let's say there's a big IFBB bodybuilder and he's like, I want to get bigger, right? He says I'm small, right? On the outside, people be like, he has body dysmorphia, but for him, he's just looking for progress. This, like I said, you don't want to be doing things that are unsafe or unhealthy to get towards your goals, right? But if you're just lifting more so you can get bigger, even though you're huge, well, the only reason why people say you have body dysmorphia is because in their minds, what you're doing, like you already got it, bro. Stop. Like you have it all. You don't need any more. But to you, you're like, I want more, right? So there's no, I don't get it. I don't think so. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think what we have to do is we have to separate never being satisfied and body dysmorphia, because of like what I said on the previous episode or at the end, where I wake up a half pound heavier than I did the day before. I automatically in the mirror, I see that the definition is gone and I fucked something up. So I'm going to take my calories down by another 100.
Doing something not, again, that's the thing, that's the doing something that's not healthy.
Correct.
To try to reach something.
So I think that is different than an IFBB pro saying like, oh, I'm small right now, I got to get big. I guess there's bigger exia, right? But like, I think
there's bigger, bigger
I think that's where we have to, or we can separate, just not being satisfied and then having body dysmorphia.
Yeah, having some like disordered thinking around the way that you look, like thinking like thinking like I want to improve myself, I want to improve my body, I would like to make this change, I don't like this feature about myself, I'd like to change it, is probably coming from a lot different place than like just being super frustrated and being like, I hate this about myself, and that problem is actually like, even to everybody else, is it's a lot smaller to them than it is to you. Remember when you were a kid, like it was really rare for me to get like zits or whatever, but I'd get some here and there. Do you remember when you were a teenager and you'd have a zit and you thought it was the biggest fucking thing? You thought it was like a satellite, like calling out everybody, and everyone was going to notice it right away. And like, I mean, the truth is most teenagers have some acne and they suffer from that. And like, no one really cares. I mean, every once in a while you might have someone that's like just gigantic or something, but for the most part, it's there. Everyone's kind of going through the same shit. No one really notices, but you're thinking, man, I better wear a hat. I better.
He's got the horns.
Yeah,
I got one here and one here. I had horns, man. Pissed me off.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck? I mean, you think that everyone's staring at that, and I think sometimes that's how some of us can end up feeling when we don't have the body that we want. We go to take our shirt off or whatever it might be, and we're just like, oh man, like everyone's gonna see. Like I'm exposed. Everyone's gonna see this. Like I don't have what I want, and everyone else is gonna notice that I don't have what I want. But how would anybody else know what you want? And does anybody else even fucking care? Probably not.
Yeah, but you're right, because then I'll start thinking like, oh fuck, they're gonna be like, no, you're the guy that's always on a diet, or you're always doing stuff right. Like whoa, you actually have a little bit more. Nobody would ever say anything like that. They don't even think this way, but because I'm thinking it, they're like, oh fuck, they're probably like, wow, that's what 15% body fat looks like. Like I think your DEXA scan was wrong. Like all these thoughts will just go through my head.
They're looking at your arms, and you think that they're staring at the little bit of chub that you might have near your belly button.
Yep.
You're like, everyone's honed in on that. And meanwhile, everyone's just sweating the fact that you got big arms. They're like, yo, dude, like, what are you doing for your arms? And you're like, huh? I thought everybody was looking at how fat I am.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something that I think is so damn important. And when an individual looks at their body, and let's say that they look great, but they're like, oh, like they start to get angry because, like I'm holding too much fat here or this, and they start to speak negatively about themselves. Because I have met people, and I've had conversations with people where I look at them, I'm just like, that actually, no, you're not fat. Like you like legitimately, you are not fat. But they in their head, they're like, oh, I'm too fat, and it messes with them emotionally. It gives them all this, like, they feel horrible. And that in and of itself, like, that's a different thing. Like, that's when an individual has to first off look at themselves and understand, no, I have a great body. I am like things are good. But instead of having the mindset of I'm so horrible, I suck, this and that, have the mindset of improving something that you might not be maybe the happiest with. But the mindset of improvement is very different than the consistent putting down of oneself and the degrading of yourself because of a flaw you believe you have.
Have you ever lost at anything?
Yeah.
Does that make you a loser?
Technically, yes. I mean, like,
right.
it doesn't
feel like
I don't
a loser
feel like a loser
as a person.
I do not feel like a loser. I've lost to many things too, but I don't feel like a loser. No. Andrew
has mentioned in the past having kind of like a loser mindset, right? Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes these things can happen. Again, I think it's great to identify what's my problem, what's my issue, what am I working against, right? And then to try to solve the problem on the level at which it exists, right? So if we're talking about, I mean, usually with body dysmorphia, I mean, it can come in many different shapes, but usually people are talking about body fat. Mm-hmm. Just because you have body fat doesn't necessarily mean that you're fat and that you have everything that's attached to being fat. It doesn't mean that you have all those things attached to you forever. Mm-hmm. They might be attached to you currently because you might be making some mistakes, but do we all make mistakes? Do we all lose? Like, you know what I mean? Like so body fat is an actual thing that all human beings have. We all have body fat on us. We all have muscle on us. Some have more or less of this or that. When I see somebody, we all end up kind of comparing ourselves to each other, right? The urinal's a great example of this. You line up at the urinal, right? And anyway, we're all going to compare each other. We're all going to compare each other to each other. But like we all have different circumstances. We all were given, some different attributes. Some of them may be detriments, I guess. We were all given like some different things, at birth, and it's taken me a long time to get to where I'm at, because I mean, I don't. It's rare for me to really be jealous of somebody. I might have some, like, I think it's normal for people to have some jealousy here and there, for that to creep in a little bit here and there, of course. But then I autocorrect and I'm like, whoop, okay, nope, that motherfucker worked for it. Hit the like button. Don't be a hater. Congratulate the guy. Tell him he's fucking great because that was cool what that person achieved. And there's no reason for you to sweat what they're doing. Like, they did a great job. I think what happens to us, and I would say, I guess I'll just speak from my own experience. I think what happens to us sometimes when someone else gets a compliment, you think that means something against you.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, no one's fucking talking about you. Just because someone said somebody looks great in a t-shirt or something, they're not saying that you look bad in yours. But I think that's almost like our interpretation sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it can really wreak havoc on you. So for me, it's been transformative to gain some levels of success in certain areas, but those things would not have stopped my disordered thinking on many different subjects unless I investigated them myself, unless I was searching for and seeking for a way to self-improve, a way to fix whatever my issues are and to work on them, has made me a lot stronger and made me not really be concerned. Someone else gets a compliment, I'm like, that's fucking awesome. Like that, yeah. Let me throw a compliment your way too, because that other person was right. You fucking do look great.
Mm-hmm. And that's, so we were talking about this earlier, but the idea that like you don't want to like compare yourself to somebody and be like, oh, my shoulders versus his shoulders, like they're not there yet. You don't want to, like, I think that you can compare yourself to people, but you can compare yourself to people and use that comparison as a positive. So for example, when I look at like how long I've been doing stuff on YouTube, etc., and I see other people who maybe they haven't been on it as long as they've grown faster, this and that. When I look at those individuals, I'm not like, man, they don't deserve it. I've been doing this longer, blah blah blah. Instead, I'm just like, that's fucking awesome. They did that in 6 months. Okay, what did they do in those 6 months? Like, first off, they've been grinding, but what have they been doing in those 6 months that maybe I wasn't doing? Or what can I take from that and so I can maybe do some of that too? It's like same thing when it comes to somebody's body. You see somebody who has like a crazy chest, right? And you're not like, oh, fuck, my chest isn't like his chest. It's like maybe he's doing something in terms of his workouts, or somebody in jujitsu that maybe they're doing something differently in their training, or they're focusing on something different that I can add to what I'm doing so that I can improve. That's what we got to look at. Comparing isn't a bad thing. It's then how do you frame that in a positive way? So you're not like, it doesn't bring you down.
Sometimes somebody's just better than you at something, man, and it can be a real bummer,
Yeah.
but it's just true. I mean, like, could you imagine, you're working your ass off every day on sprints, you're a 100-meter sprinter, and you're working and working and working and working, you're training and you're doing all this stuff, and then you go against like a guy like Usain Bolt, who just crushes everybody, right? Like there's Michael Phelps, in swimming. There's so many examples of this. Sometimes somebody's just better than you at particular things. Maybe you can catch them somewhere else. Maybe you can catch them on some weird, random, bad day. But sometimes in certain instances, that person's worst day in that particular subject, you'll still might get your ass kicked. And that's just sometimes. Are you going to be able to beat everyone in jiu-jitsu like all the time? I don't know if I've ever heard. I know there's some people have had kind of careers where they've been undefeated, but even those guys have lost somewhere, like they've gotten tapped in practice for sure, right? So no one goes through things unscathed. But I think a really good quote that I like a lot is from Jordan Peterson. He says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday and not to who someone else is today.
Yes.
And man, that can be really difficult, to execute on that, but to kind of just pause for a second and just recognize, okay, that person's there. Like you said, like YouTube's a great example, or TikTok or Instagram. We're all in a rush to be, famous. We're all in a rush to be more popular, potentially monetize stuff, be able to reach more people, be able to help more people. We could sit here and we could get all stressed out about, Joe Rogan's podcast, right? But it's not beneficial to us to try to figure out, how do we get seen by as many millions of people as Joe Rogan? It's definitely possible that it never happens, right? Because we also didn't have the same track as him. He was on Fear Factor for all those years. He's a stand-up comedian. He has developed communication skills on a level that most likely none of us in this room might ever reach. He practices his craft he's been practicing it for so long.
Yeah.
And even if we did practice it more, and even if he practiced it less, there's still a potential that he's just fucking better at it. And that's sometimes some of the simple truth of it. And so there's no reason to get overly worked up or wrapped up about it, because there's not anything you can do to really help that along. You could maybe use it as a little bit of healthy fuel and say, that guy worked really hard. He did A, B, and C. I'm going to do A, B, and C as well, because that was really beneficial to him. And I think that some of that would probably help me if I was consistent just like he is.
I think one super cool thing that I think that there's something here. I don't have any proof that there is, but I think that the idea of not trying to tear people down, or having the habit of not tearing people down. This can be you in conversation with friends, or you even when you're thinking about somebody else. Do not try to tear that person down in terms of what they've been able to do or what they've been able to achieve.
I'm such a dirtbag. I do it all the time.
Well, okay, making some funny little jabs here and there. That's different.
Yeah.
But like we make jokes about that shit all the time. Like, yeah. But we're not out here really just shit talking somebody.
But for me, that's where my brain goes to a lot of times first, and I have to pay attention to that. So for me personally, I gotta like, even something as simple as like liking somebody's post.
Mm-hmm.
It like costs me way more than it should for me to make a post, for me to give somebody a like button.
Yeah.
And I have to talk myself out of it. Like, don't hate on what that guy's. I mean, obviously, like, just because I don't hit the like button doesn't necessarily mean that I hate it either. But I somehow think it's like in comparison to me, or it's in competition with me. And if I don't like it, then it's like, dude, I'm sorry, but fucking just give up, because that has 150,000 likes, and you not giving them one little vote is not going to boost your own shit up.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna. It doesn't work that way. But I have some disordered thinking when it comes to that, so I have to kind of walk myself through that. Be like, no, be pumped for that person because they fucking earned it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that started happening when, so like I love watching basketball, you know, like since I was a kid. Everybody would always talk about like, oh, did you watch this cartoon or whatever? And be like, nah, I watched, I listened to the Kings game last night because we didn't have cable. And on top of that, like Kings games were never televised. So I would sit there in the kitchen and listen to every single game. Like, what other fucking third, fourth grader does that? Yeah. But anyway, when it started is because I would look up to these guys and they're like in their early 20s, and then all of a sudden, like, damn, that guy got drafted and he's younger than me. Like, fuck, like I'm not doing shit with my life, you know. And so that's when that kind of like the resentment, that loser mentality started coming from, is because like then, you know, you don't take ownership, you start blaming other people, and it's like, well, he was too. You know, he was too talented, or he was born with all this. Like, he didn't have to work for it.
Hating on someone because they're wealthy. Hating on someone because they got a new car.
Yep.
Hating somebody on because they got a new pair of fucking shoes, or just whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we're sometimes so wasteful.
It's so funny. So I have to bring this up because this is perfect. My cousin, he just like randomly out of nowhere posted on Facebook, like, dude, I'm so happy that the the Uber court thing is all over with. You know, some of you might remember, like, I was in a car accident. He was an Uber driver. Turns out, like, I won the case. So he mentioned he got like $500,000, and he kept going on and on and on. And then he's like, and for everybody that just got pissed off, what does that say about you? He's like, yes, this is all made up. And I was like, oh shit, that was great. I was just like, because I'm just like, dude, that's so funny though. But because yeah, you're right. A lot of people were probably already hating on him without even knowing, or you know, that doesn't affect you, right? But they're just so upset that somebody else got ahead.
It's a little off topic, but like, you know how sometimes somebody's like they're like, I hate that person because they're famous for no reason. And you're like, what do you like? Why? What's the why does there have to be like a cool reason to be famous? Why? Like, there's obviously enough reason for someone to be famous for it must have mattered to enough people to you know, elicit a response that people think this person's famous, like the Kardashians or something like that, right? It's like I hear people say stuff like that. I'm like, why does it? Who really fucking cares?
Yeah,
they are famous. Get over it. Well, they're famous and they're rich.
Kim did something.
Yeah. A leaked video.
Leaked quote.
Yeah, we need to leak our video.
Not yet.
We have to hit a certain amount.
We don't have a
first.
video, right, guys?
Wink.
No, we don't have a video.
I forgot about that. We don't have one. Yeah.
Who was that TikToker at the UFC fight that like everyone was hating on?
Yeah,
some chick. I don't know who she was, but
that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about.
Like, a lot of people were mad that she was like like somewhat of a reporter type of a thing, but she was just like a TikToker. I don't know who she was.
And you know what the funny thing is about that whole situation? Okay, so this woman, her name is
like something Ray, or
I understand.
Yeah. Addison Rae.
Addison Rae.
But this kind of falls in line exactly with what we're talking about. Addison Rae, famous on TikTok. The UFC invites her to do some interviews, okay? But they're literally just for TikTok because she has a great TikTok following. So they're like, okay, let's have her interview some of these fighters. And she was supposed to interview Dustin Poirier because they're from the same hometown. So it was like, they're from the same hometown. She's TikTok famous. Let's do a little collab so we can whatever.
Sick.
And hella people that went to school for broadcasting and hella people that like, they're like, I went to school for 8 or 6 years and she's over here just TikTok famous and she's doing this and that and that. And the funny thing is that she wasn't even doing that on TV, because she made a post and people were thinking that she was going to be on TV doing interviews, but it was just for TikTok. And hella people
That's
got mad,
great.
even
Now-
though they were wrong. Just like your story. It's not, she wasn't on TV interviewing. This was just for TikTok.
Dude, oh my gosh. So like, I don't know who she is, but now I'm a fan
Yeah.
because I did see a tweet. Now, like when you said that, she's like, I'm so proud of this moment because I went to school for 3 months for reporting, whatever the fuck it's called, communications maybe. And I was just like, what is this all about? But now that as you say that, she like leaned into it. So that's, I don't know. And the fact that she didn't actually interview anybody, that's
Look what's going on
great.
with boxing right now. You know, where these
Oh,
people that
man.
aren't boxers have popped into boxing, and people are getting all bent, and they're like, they're not real fighters. It's like, I think they're having like a real fight, and they're gonna punch each other, and it's like on TV. Sounds kind of real to me, you know. So it's interesting that we get so protective of like certain things. We get so wound up, and again, when I'm saying we, I'm counting myself in that mix, because I have a tendency to think that way sometimes too. And I'm like, why the fuck do I even care?
Yeah.
I'll just give somebody a pat on the back, not worry
Same.
about it.
Same here. But we catch ourselves. That's the thing.
Yeah,
You're aware, so you catch yourself. Because like, think about this. Logan Paul goes and does a fight with the best boxer. Almost, a lot of people say he's the best boxer ever. And a lot of boxers who've been doing that their whole life, they're like, fuck that. That's not cool, whatever. Well, instead, how about you think about how you can get so notable like Logan Paul so you can draw eyes to your fight? You got to build social media.
And
or something.
is that an opportunity that you even care about? You know what I mean? Like,
That's
you
the
want to
best thing.
Do you want to get into boxing?
Yeah.
Like, are you, what is it you're trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. It's amazing. I mean, I'm guilty. I get caught up in it sometimes too.
Yeah.
How come I'm not like that? How come I didn't get that recognition? How come I didn't get that spot? It's like, well, because you didn't fucking do anything for it. You did nothing for it.
Yes.
You did zero for it.
I get okay. How can we bring this back around to I know we're talking about comparison with the comparing your bodies and stuff. So if we can bring it back around to body dysmorphia, it basically seems impossible for, like, I'll just use my experience to in my head to go back 4 years ago, compare myself back then to where I am now. Like, I don't have that memory. You guys might be like, dude, I remember this, skinny ass kid hunched over. Like, okay, like you guys can see that progress, but I can't. And so like it's weird that I guess I don't know if you guys can, but like I cannot. But it's weird, like humans can't look back and be like, damn, I came a long way.
I love you, bro.
I love you too, Mark.
I love
I think
you
it's
too.
I think it's
Love
the
you too,
kratom
Nsima.
kicking in.
It could be.
But you have an interesting way of wording things, and like you just completely 100% answered your own question, and I think answered and summed up a lot of what we're talking about here today. And I think a lot of times time can be on your side. Time can be the thing that we can look at, and so you can kind of ask yourself, and sometimes this might piss you off, because maybe you're not ahead, maybe you're not further along than you were. But if you go back and you look at yourself from 5 years ago, maybe there's a couple areas where someone could say, oh, I actually 5 years ago, I was actually a little bit further along with this, but for the most part, everything else is kind of moving along really, that would be totally normal because we only have so much time in a day and stuff like that. But if most of us are to think about our diet habits, our habits, just having bad habits in general that we've identified, that we said, hey, I'd like to move away from like doing that anymore. Smoking or drinking or whatever it is that you have kind of shifted away from. I think if we can use time as a barometer, you can say, yeah, right. Well, I don't have everything completely together the way that I would like, but then being in recognition of what Nsima said, like it's just not going to happen. I'm never going to have everything all together where I'm totally satisfied 100% with all aspects of my life. There's going to be a lot of kind of pushing and pulling and compromise that you make with yourself. We're going to have a lot of negative talk in our head about what other people are doing or what the world is doing to us type of thing, even though that's not a thing. But we're going to have all these kind of misconceptions and these different things that we got to kind of battle all the time. You got to try to figure out a way to balance them out. You'll continually get a little bit better at them. But if you could just say, am I a little further along than I was 3 years ago in this one area where I have body dysmorphia over? Or are you kind of doing what I said earlier, like where you're just doing zero about it? Like if you're not doing anything about it, I think you need to shut the fuck up. You need to stop being negative towards yourself. And my father-in-law, a couple years back, he told my mother-in-law, and he struggled with his diet, and towards the end of his life, he had cancer, and his life kind of was compromised, and he definitely needed to make a change. It was clear that he had to do something about his nutrition. He died of a heart attack. He wasn't, for him, but he told my mother-in-law something that I think is really, really smart. So he messed around with diet a little bit here and there. He tried a couple things. Wasn't a guy who was big into like exercising or anything. But he just told her flat out. He said, Sherry, I'm not like you. Meaning she likes food, but she doesn't care that much. He goes, I love food. So he was in recognition of who he was and what he was up against. But he made peace with it. He wasn't trying to like fight it. He wasn't trying to do anything. He wasn't really messing around with doing anything about it. And he just, like I said, he kind of shut up about it because he knew it wasn't anything that he was addressing, and he knew he was going to have to live with and end up dying from the consequences.
That's huge, because when you said that, like some people are just, you're not doing anything about it. That's the big thing right there. Because when I've had conversations with individuals like, oh, I don't have this, or I don't have this, like, are you doing anything? No. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't have money, man. I'm broke. Like I don't, I lost my job. Like, and you try to give a couple suggestions, right? You say, hey man, you know what? That's really unfortunate, but I actually just read a sick book. And they're like, I don't, and they like right away, and then you try to bring up a couple other things, and you're just thinking like, man, they're just not ready to really receive that at the moment, but you got to be, find your problems and then start to figure out if you can do anything about them. If you can't do anything about them, sometimes that's unfortunate. Sometimes you're not going to be able to really truly change who you are. You can change some aspects, but it's very, very hard to really have like massive change.
Yeah. Or like, and this is a little bit unfair because like some people you can be in a pretty tough situation. Yeah. I was in it also, but you hear somebody that complains about their job every single day. It's like, dude, like it's not a prison sentence. Like you actually can do something to get out of that. And but it's like almost more comforting to just keep complaining.
Yeah. And I think all of us have flaws. We don't really want other people to know what those flaws are. We don't want to expose them. So we keep them close to our heart because we don't want anybody to have potential to be able to like hurt you with those things, or you don't want to draw attention to it. But normally it's like we've seen this a lot with social media. Sometimes somebody mentions something that they struggle with, and then usually what's the response? It's not like people go in and bury the guy or unfollow the person. They're usually like, holy fuck, I got the same thing too. I didn't know, and sometimes it becomes like a movement where everyone kind of gets behind it. Like I felt the same way, or I've had the same thing happening. For me, in terms of my body, like I'm very happy with the way I look. I don't have any problem taking my shirt off. I feel good. I feel strong, but I'm always working towards being in better shape. And from being so big previously, I still have some fat that I want to lose, that I want to get rid of. And am I doing anything about it is the question I need to communicate with myself often. Sometimes I'm working at it pretty good. Scale of 1 to 10, probably like an 8. I'm not interested in doing a 10. I'm just not bothering. I'm going to take my time with it and have it be less aggressive because I don't want it to pull away from anything else that I'm doing in my life. So For me, I just keep cruising at an 8, and I have some chub that's like just above my butt. I have a massive booty, and my ass was like even way more giant before. But I got a slab of bacon chunk back there that I'm working on. But it's like, if I didn't have that, what the fuck would I be doing with myself? It's like you need to have stuff that you're working on. And that's not my only problems, but you have to always be working on stuff, right?
Yeah. You had said something, I think it was a Saturday school episode, where you said somebody's body is a representation of like something about where somebody holds their fat shows like exactly where they are in their diet or something like that. I forgot oh man, I butchered that one, but I thought it was cool because it was like, hey, that's an indicator of where you need to clean things up, like depending on where it is in your body.
Yeah, that can be a little bit more complicated. I mean, Charles Poliquin did entire seminars on that, but not to make things too confusing. If you were somebody that moved quite a bit when you were young and had good activity and didn't traditionally overconsume calories, and you have been able to like maintain some resemblance of that, you probably distribute your body fat kind of throughout your body. And this is just an observation. This isn't like facts or anything. This isn't science. If you're somebody that grew up kind of eating some junk and maybe you sat down, played video games quite a bit, you're going to notice that person that has more body fat, let's say you had two people that have the same amount of body fat. The person that sat and played video games, and again, this is not science, this is observational, is going to probably have more love handles. They're probably going to have more fat in some weird spots where the other person, they have body fat on them, but it hasn't really accumulated. It's not really sitting in any one particular area. So I've heard people kind of talk about this before too, and this is like not necessarily related directly to that, but having like a messy desk, having a messy house, having tons of bottles and crap in your car. That's not necessarily representative of your body, because somebody could have a great looking body and have their car and have some things messy, but it is kind of a representation of your brain being a little scrambled and you not really caring about the way you do like some things is the way you do everything type of deal. And it's not an easy thing to be on track, to be on point with every fucking thing that you do, and there's no reason to overly stress about it. We all got strengths and weaknesses, but if you're somebody that is out of shape and you're working on getting in shape, I would get everything I would work on trying to get everything in shape. Make a little bit more shape, make a little bit more schedule, make a little bit more regimen on everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Nsima, do you have body dysmorphia?
Well, I don't do anything in an unhealthy fashion to try to continue to improve aspects of my body. So, according to the definition, no.
Says the guy who's on a 60-hour fast.
Oh.
And 7% body fat.
With still less than 2 hours of sleep a night. How does he do
Oh,
that?
let's not go down that rabbit hole again. No, we're doing so well. We don't want to talk to them about how I'm working on getting no sleep.
Yeah.
We'll
have to save that for another.
No, we're not going to do this. Guys, I get 8 hours of sleep. I get 7 8 hours of sleep a night. Do I? Anyway,
the power.
The only reason why I said that is because, I fast all the time too, right? And here I am, I'm working on increasing my bench press again. It's like, it's like, what is it we're working on? Like, what is it we're seeking? But you developed a skill set with diet and with nutrition and with your body, and this is just something that you decided to do, right?
Yeah. So you talking about the fast?
Yeah.
So last quarter I did a 48, didn't make it to 72. I drank a protein shake yesterday, so some people would be like I broke my fast, but I needed that protein shake. I needed that protein shake. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, I'm doing a 72 because like this is the fast I do this quarter, the long term. Not doing it to change my body or anything in any way, but like it's good for health. My grandmother, which is kind of funny, this is a little bit off topic, but my grandma does like multiple 5-day fasts every few weeks because she fasts and prays. So does my mom. It's like it's a spiritual thing. So they'll do water fasting, and prayer. And I finally was like, Mom, just have the electrolytes.
Have you been praying for Andrew and I?
Always. You guys are sinners.
Thank
I
you.
want you to go to heaven. I'm playing with y'all. But
How do you
So
know?
you don't want us to go to heaven? Hold
stop. I
on.
want you guys to please. Let's
How
just
does
get
he know this
Wait.
about us?
All right, I'm dying here, guys. When it comes to the
Gotta get more than 2 hours of sleep, dude.
when it comes to the body dysmorphia thing that we've been talking about here, this really came to mind just because I see a lot of people like who make fitness YouTube content. It's been like a hot kind of topic, and I think it's just being thrown around too much. Where there are some people who really have it, and according to their definition, we'd have it too. But if according to them, finding certain things in my body that I want to improve and working at them, even though other people may think it's great. If that's body dysmorphia, then I have body dysmorphia. But I'm not doing anything unsafe to get towards my goals. And the whole thing that we've been talking about here is that there's no problem with you trying to always progress and not be satisfied. That can be done in a very healthy manner. And that's what I think we're doing here.
Satisfied athletes suck. I've heard that before.
Hmm.
And it's it's usually true when someone thinks they're like already great at something or super satisfied. I mean, we've seen it happen many, many times where somebody comes into a sport, they're a total animal. They mop up the floor with every single opponent they ever face. And then they are, at some point, they're satisfied. They make a lot of money. They're not as hungry as they once were.
Mhm.
And then they finally get their ass kicked. And you're like, oh, well, because once you think that you're great, a lot of times you're going to kind of be dethroned. So I think it can be healthy to always want to work on being better, improvement, progress. To think a lot of negative thoughts about your body or to hate your body, I think puts you in a category that you probably will struggle with having a mindset like that. And I don't pretend to have any remedies for you to get out of that, other than to simply kind of work on it, drill it a bunch, and communicate with yourself about the other things that you like about your body. I mean, we take so many things for granted. I was just I have a podiatrist appointment. I have calluses on my feet. I walk a lot, and from when I was bigger, my feet are just kind of fat anyway, and they just rub on the side of my shoe. So I build up these calluses. So I have to go and get these calluses removed here and there. But sometimes I'm frustrated. I'm like, my goddamn feet are killing me. But really, I should be more like, this is awesome that I have opportunity to walk every day. We're in California. You know what I mean? Like there's a completely different way to look at stuff rather than being negative or hating on yourself or hating on any part of your body. Maybe be just more thankful that your body's working and functioning the way that you want.
I get the same, I think just based off of what you explained, I think I get a very similar callus on the side of my foot. And that shit sucks. It's almost like it feels like another toe wants to grow out.
Dude,
it's like
it hurts.
stiff.
You didn't have to have your foot shaved down or something, did you?
I had a bunionette. I was one. So maybe yours is
Bunionette.
oh. Man, we got to have an episode where we bring some really. There is some feet expert that we need to get on this podcast.
Oh yeah. There's a guy, local here in Sacramento. We can get him.
Foot fetish.
Because so my feet are wide. But soccer cleats are narrow. Like a majority of soccer cleats are super narrow
With high arches.
like track shoes. Yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't necessarily, at the time I was playing soccer, they didn't necessarily make the best cleats for people with big old wide feet like me. So I was stuffing my feet into these narrow cleats over the years. So what happened, guys, was let's say that this is my pinky toe. Well, these were getting smashed, but then my pinky toe would come in and then the bone was popping out.
Oh.
So that was like the bone here on my pinky toe. So they had to, when I was in college, they had to shave that bone off and they put a little screw inside. And that stopped me from being able to I was walking around campus on crutches for 8 months because that was a really slow healing process. But that's also what stopped me from playing soccer because I couldn't run. And when I started running again, I couldn't run the right way. So they're like, deuces. But yeah, I'm happy now that there are more options for shoes. Yeah.
Damn.
So I wear chanclas.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it,
One pretty good karate kick.
Yeah.
when they shave that off, does it hurt? Is it really painful?
You think it's talking
Yours,
about your
your
Oh,
calluses.
for me?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't hurt at all.
Okay.
I barely even notice. It's disgusting, but they basically just kind of dig through some layers of skin, and then it's gone. I don't have any pain. If they were to go too far, it would hurt. But they're removing layers of skin that like just don't need to be there.
I know, like I've literally like sanded mine off, and it hurt, but
you can't, and it doesn't. I've tried that before, and it doesn't work great. It kind of works, but you need to like it's because the layer of like dead skin that's there is like a lot thicker in the middle. And so if you try to just sand it down, you're sanding down the sides and shit too.
Yeah.
I know it's fucking disgusting.
It is. But I mean, when I did it, like once it like healed up, it was like, oh, like cool. I got like room in my shoe. And then it just came right back. Damn. It's so weird.
Anyway, Andrew, take us on out of here.
I will. Thank you everybody for checking out today's episode. Oh, what you got?
There's one last thing.
All right, what you got?
Little Easter
egg.
I'm about to ruin some lives. So a friend of mine, we're watching this show on Netflix called Sex-Life or Sex.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of that.
You seen some of it? Have you seen episode 3?
I don't know how far I
shower
got into
scene.
it.
Okay, guys. I want you.
I know it's a porn, basically.
It's, the funny thing is, she's like, this show is done like it was directed by a female, because when you see all the scenes, it's very like it's the way a woman would want it to go. But by the way, go to episode 3, go to the scene, the shower scene, and then come back and comment and let me know how much you hate me, because that shit. When we were talking about the urinals, I remember that. So go to Sex-Life episode 3, shower scene. I want your reactions in the comments. Andrew, take us on.
All right. With that said, merrickhealth.com/power project. We talk a lot about nutrition, health, and again, today we talked about body dysmorphia. But really, the best way to find out exactly what's going on with your body is to get blood work, and the best panel is the one that we put together ourselves. Somebody in the comments was actually they compared it to like every other company. They're like, yeah, it's pretty close to what everyone else like is trying to do, but it is cheaper, and it does come with the actual expert like one-on-one review. So it's above and beyond. Again, merrickhealth.com/power project. Link down in the description below, as well as the podcast show notes, and make sure you use promo code Power Project to bring that panel all the way down from $500 to $399. Please follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter. My Instagram and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. And Nsima, what's up, dude?
I'm such a child, bro. Like I can't wait to just get these comments back, because I'm about to root. And Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark?
Hey, you know what? These shows, you could be the beneficiary of some of these shows, So you put it on, the ladies with you, and they're like, hey, this is, might get them
excited.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You took it there. Okay.
You never know.
I'm telling you, the Power Project calendar, it'll have us on the cover, and just every month is Nsima.
I like that.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I can shoot it.
Of course you can. Just use the pictures that we took.
Mark can oil you.
Just use the pictures we took.
Okay.
We have all the pictures.
I wanted some new ones, but all right.
Episode 3, huh?
I'm going to show you guys right after we get off. We're all going to watch this in a circle, and I'm going to,
Circle.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting a little nervous.
You should be.
Oh.
Usually what I tell my wife is, those aren't real dicks. I mean, I'm like, these are movies. It's like porn. Like they're not, Yeah, no one has one that big like that. Kidding me? Like that's impossible. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.